So although I'm here representing Merchiston, I'm going to be talking about sport in general, so for girls and boys. And what I really wanted to do today was just talk about why independent schools put so much effort into their sports and their sporting facilities, so that when you go and speak to the schools next door, you have a little bit of an insight into what to maybe ask some questions if your son or daughter are particularly interested in sport. I'll leave plenty of time for questions at the end, but if you have a burning question, do just let me know. So an introduction to Merchiston, first of all. So Merchiston is an all-boys school situated in Edinburgh, which, if you've been to Edinburgh, is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. I'm slightly biased, but we have the most incredible ability to have that beautiful international city, but also the great Scottish outdoors on our doorstep. Merchiston's been excelling at sport for nearly 200 years. And we have a huge number of internationalists. So rugby is one of the key sports. We have about 64 rugby internationalists. We have 24 cricket internationalists and Olympians across many, many different sports. And we've been so successful in that because we've always had this marriage between sport and academics. And we strongly believe that they work together in perfect harmony. So sport actually boosts those academics. And actually, academics can boost your sporting performance as well. So this moment in time at Merchiston, we have 20 plus sports on offer. So there's those team sports, but also individual sports as well. And we have a tennis academy. So our tennis academy is #1 in Scotland, #2 in the UK, and we have a golf academy as well. And they produce fantastic performers who, alongside their academics, are achieving nationally and internationally in their chosen sports. And it's that balance of alongside academics that's really important. Sometimes for young people that are particularly talented with sport, they want to spend all their time playing the sport. But this is making sure that as well as having that sporting background and coaches looking after them, the academics are there too, because we always have to have a plan B. So why do independent schools focus on sport quite so much? As you speak to the schools here today, they will tell you about their incredible facilities and their coaching and the number of sports that they offer. But some of the real benefits to do with sport are, I'm going to mention 5, and then I'm going to talk about academics as well. So the first one really is keeping fit and healthy. You know, we all want our children to be fit and healthy and enjoying a really active lifestyle. But early adoption is key. So if we get young children to start interest in sport and practicing sport from a young age, the likelihood is they're going to carry on for a far, far longer time. Our school runs from 7 to 18, and so you'll find that sporting program is there right from the beginning up until they're 18. And of course, food and nutrition. We all think that school meals are going to be just like they were in our day, which wasn't particularly lovely, but school meals nowadays are pretty incredible. And they often tend to have nutritional value added into them, lots and lots of fresh ingredients. So it's all to do with keeping people fit and healthy. It's especially important for families sending their children internationally to board. You need to make sure they're well fed and they're looked after. So when you speak to the schools next door, ask them what their food is like. The next one is mental resilience. Sport gives real mental resilience to children from a really tiny young age. When you're in a team and when you're playing in a team, if you're losing, what do? Do you give up? No, we keep going. We work with our teammates, we try harder, and if at the end of the match we've lost by a huge amount, we just learn from it. So sport starts to give us that resilience, but it also gives us that perseverance to keep trying and bouncing back. Bouncing back is a phrase we heard a lot after COVID in terms of children and teachers and parents having to look at some of those things, those changes that were perhaps a little bit different and a bit difficult, and bounce back from them. Sport is absolutely fantastic at giving one of those as the added value. And in terms of social skills from a sporting point of view, well, most sports are team sports. And in life, we all have to learn how to get on with people. We'll all have people we really like. We'll have some colleagues perhaps that we don't particularly get on with, but we still have to work with them. And simply being part of a team helps with that. You learn to get on with people. You learn to uncover the skills that they have that are going to complement your own skills. And it's about discipline as well. Being in a sports team, whether it's for an individual, a golfer or a tennis player, or whether it's for somebody in a team, it's that discipline to keep training, to keep trying and keep improving. But it can also be about leadership. And a lot of us as parents want our children to be able to, in the future, have a leadership role, whatever that may look like. And sport can be a fantastic way of trying out those leadership skills from an early age. So I've spoken about keeping fit and healthy, and about mental resilience, and about social skills, but it's also about emotional health. Now, COVID again, and issues arising from that, has meant that schools across the UK and across the globe are looking much more in depth about the emotional health of their children, from well-being point of view, anxiety points of view as well. Sport is known to boost psychological benefits for children. It's great to be part of a winning team, but it's also great to have teammates around you even when you're losing. And sport doesn't have to be those traditional matches and games that you would imagine, like rugby and football, but being outside, going and doing something like these boys here, of just experiencing a new skill. But also in terms of anxiety, being able to try something and being able to safely fail in an environment is massively important. And sport can do that. It gives you that opportunity to play for your school and just reduce those feelings of anxiety or what ifs. But it's also about self-esteem. One of the real benefits of the school of Merchiston and other smaller schools is that people see you. You are seen. If you achieve something on the sports field, the likelihood is that you are going to be celebrated for it and you're going to be congratulated when you're walking down the school corridors by your pupils and peers and staff as well. But more and more, sport is about strategic skills for the future. So when we leave school, we don't just leave with academic skills. We don't just leave with marks on a piece of paper. We have to leave with a whole suite of different skills and abilities that we've built up over our time at school. There's a resilient mindset that sport builds up. As I said before, it's that giving it a go and keeping trying. That's vital in the world of work, as is preparation. When we're working, we have to be able to prepare. We have to make sure that for every meeting that we're having or contact that we're having with clients, we are prepared. And sport helps build that perfectly. It's also about quick thinking. If you look at employers, what they're looking for, they are looking for those grades, but they're looking for people who are also able to be quick thinkers, to be able to be strategic and think on their feet. But what about the academics? Does sport really help with academic achievement? Well, don't take my word for it, but if you speak to the people here today from all the different schools, the likelihood is that they will say that anecdotally they believe sport helps with academics. And the reasons behind that are many. So the Youth Sports Trust in the UK in 2022 did one of the biggest surveys and studies to look at academics versus emotional resilience that comes from sport. And they were looking at all schools, so independent schools and state schools as well. And they proved three things specifically. That those children who are active, absolutely, without doubt, achieve academically higher than those who did not. They proved that the increased activity also increased concentration, which then had academic benefits. And it increased cognitive health, which meant that they could achieve higher. So it seems a little bit like a no-brainer of the benefits of sport boosting academic benefits as well. The University of Sydney then pulled together 100 studies together and agreed with everything that had previously been said in the Youth Sports Trust presentation, but specifically sport during the school day was more beneficial to academic performance than sport at the beginning or the end of the day. And children who had 1 to 2 hours of academic sporting work achieved more academically. And it was specific to maths and science too, that maths and science specifically benefited from more and more sport being played during the day. Now, anecdotally, if you speak to house parents here, ask them, if they have a pupil or a player who's really top level that has been injured and can no longer play, how does that impact their academics? Well, often, anecdotally, that player will really struggle. And the reason for that is that they no longer have that context behind them that they would normally have. They no longer have that self-esteem boosting presentation of sport. Now, in terms of sport benefiting university applications, well, how can it help? Well, with regards to going to university, we all know that your grades matter significantly, but it's also about what you're saying in your personal statements and those additional things that you can bring to your university application. Now, at Merchiston, we have a large number of those who come through our tennis and our golf academy who then go on to universities, mainly in the US, on scholarships. So we have Jacob, who is one of the Scottish junior #1s, a GB international player at tennis, and he's now at Texas. We then had Danny, one of the Welsh #1 player, and he's at Mercer University. Johannes was an under-18 finalist, top 10 GB, and is at Tennessee. And all of them achieved their universities because they had that additional elite sporting training on there. Universities, especially in the US, really love the breadth of knowledge and the skills that sport gives to a player alongside their academics. Now, the universities in the US, they are looking for the elite players. That's where the scholarships and the bursaries for those players come from. So if you can join a school, if your child is talented in a particular sport, find a school that helps with that and see whether that can help them with their university pathway also. We have golf and tennis as an example, but there are large quantities of academic scholarships, basketball scholarships, and individual sports like shooting as well at universities in America. But why? Why do they look for these players? Well, one of the reasons is that, quite frankly, they want a great university team. So if they can take the top talent from schools around the globe and have them in their university team, it's fantastic for them in the leaderboards. But they also know that there's a great deal of kudos about sporting ability and sporting achievement within universities. So that's why they offer these places. They want to be able to know that they have top flight players at their university alongside top flight academicians. But it's also the whole person. Universities nowadays, they are looking for the whole person. It's no longer just good enough to have straight A stars or A's at your university entrance exams. It's about having something else that you offer. So in summary, and then I can happily take questions, sport really does boost academic performance. And it's not just to do with the serotonin. It's to do with all those different skills that we can learn for life. So if your child is particularly talented, speak to some of the schools next door, ask them about their sporting program, ask what they do for those elite players, but also ask for those who are enthusiastic amateurs and those who really don't like sport at all, so that you and they can talk through the benefits of how sport could potentially help and boost your child's academic performance. Are there any questions at all from anyone?
Does athlete recruitment will be covered?
Well, athlete recruitment in the United States, so individual universities have an athletic recruitment program.
Also for United States, for UK?
For some UK universities, but UK universities do not offer as much scholarship as the US and Canada universities. United States and Canada universities have far larger funding available for particular elite scholars, and they tend to be at a lot of the big American universities. The cost difference between American universities and UK universities is particularly high, which is why some of these scholarships are offered. But there are some UK universities that will still offer that for particularly top elite, but beyond that they also have rugby programs, athletic programs, if somebody is particularly talented. But if they are particularly talented in academics, it would normally be that they would be coming through the academic athletic body in order to get into that university. So it's slightly different between UK and US.